After years of blame, my husband finally asked one question that changed us. I want to tell you about a question my husband asked me late one evening. It was not loud. It was not angry. It did not come during a fight. It came quietly, almost carefully, and somehow it changed everything. When he asked it, I did not answer right away. I sat very still, holding my hands together, because in that moment, I realized I had been waiting many years for someone to notice what I was carrying. He said, "When did I stop being a safe place for you?" Those words landed gently, but deeply, like something touching an old bruise. I smiled at him, not because I felt happy, but because I felt seen for the first time in a long while. I am an elderly woman now. My hair is thin and silver. My steps are slow and careful, but my memories are sharp, and my heart still remembers everything. My husband and I have been married for more than 40 years. We met when we were young and hopeful, with more dreams than money. Back then, love felt easy. We talked for hours. We laughed about small things. We believed that choosing each other once was enough to last forever. When we married, we promised to face life together. And for a long time, we truly did. Then life arrived the way it always does. With responsibility, with children, with tired nights and early mornings. He worked long days, sometimes 2 jobs. I stayed home, raising our children, keeping the house together, making sure everyone was fed, clean, and cared for. I did not see it as sacrifice. I saw it as love. But slowly, without meaning to, I began to disappear into my role. When the children were small, my days were full.
There was always someone who needed me.
A scraped knee, a missing sock, a school project due the next day. At night, when the house finally became quiet, I felt too tired to talk. And when I did speak, I spoke about practical things. Bills, schedules, appointments. My feelings stayed inside me, not because my husband told me to be quiet, but because I believed being strong meant not needing anything. And over time, he stopped asking. Not because he didn't care, but because I looked like I had everything under control. That is how silence begins. Not with cruelty, but with misunderstanding. Years passed quickly. The children grew older. They needed me less. One by one, they left the house. And suddenly, the rooms felt larger. The noise was gone. The purpose I had built my life around was gone. My husband and I were alone again. But we were no longer the same people who first fell in love. We sat together in the evenings, watching television. Sometimes holding hands.
Sometimes sitting apart.
We spoke kindly, but not deeply. At night, we lay in the same bed, facing different directions. Our backs touched, but our thoughts did not. I told myself this was normal, that this is what long marriages become. But inside, something ached. I began to feel invisible, like a piece of furniture that had always been there. I still cooked his meals, still washed his clothes, still remembered his appointments. But I no longer felt chosen. I felt useful. I blamed him silently for not noticing my sadness, for not asking what was wrong. And he blamed himself silently for never feeling good enough. We both carried our pain alone. Friends would say, "You're lucky. 40 years together." I smiled and nodded. They did not see the quiet loneliness. They did not hear the words I swallowed every day. On birthdays, he brought flowers. I thanked him politely. On anniversaries, we went out to dinner.
We talked about the past.
Rarely about the present. I missed being known. Then came that evening. Nothing special had happened that day.
No argument.
No bad news. The sun was setting, filling the room with soft light. We sat across from each other, drinking tea. He looked at me differently, slower, more carefully. Then he asked that question. "When did I stop being a safe place for you?" My chest tightened. My throat burned. because that question touched something I had buried very deep. I took a long breath before answering. I told him I stopped sharing when I felt I had to be strong all the time. I told him how I learned to handle things alone, how I believed asking for comfort meant being weak. I spoke slowly. My voice trembled. He did not interrupt. He did not explain himself. He listened. That alone felt like relief. Then he said something I did not expect. "I thought you didn't need me anymore." That sentence broke my heart in a different way, because I realized how far apart we had drifted. I thought he didn't care. He thought I didn't need him. We were both wrong. That night, we talked for hours. Not to blame. Not to argue.
Just to understand.
There were long silences. Moments where we held hands and said nothing. I cried softly. Not loudly. The kind of crying that comes when you finally feel safe. He apologized. Quietly. Honestly. I apologized too. For closing myself off. Nothing changed overnight. We are old. Habits do not disappear quickly. But something opened. He began asking how I felt. Not out of duty, but with care. And I began answering honestly. Even when it felt uncomfortable. We learned how to sit together again.
How to speak gently.
How to listen without fixing. Forgiveness came slowly. In small moments. A hand held longer than usual. A question asked without rushing. A conversation that didn't end too soon. Now, as I look back, I understand something. Love does not fade because people stop caring. It fades when people stop feeling safe enough to speak. That one question mattered because it was asked with humility. If you are listening to this and you feel lonely beside someone you love, please hear me. Silence can feel peaceful, but it can also hide pain. Ask the question, even if your voice shakes. Sometimes, one gentle question can bring two people back to each other. And sometimes, even late in life, love can learn how to speak again. If you find comfort in quiet, real-life stories like this, I invite you to subscribe to this channel so we can sit together again through more moments like this. You can like this video if it touched your heart and leave a comment if you feel ready to share your thoughts or your story. Sometimes writing one honest sentence is enough to feel less alone. And if you know someone who might need to hear this tonight, please share this story with them. You never know whose heart might be quietly waiting for these words. Thank you for listening with patience. Thank you for giving your time.